This week's Retail Week is brought to you by Avail, Phosphorus Fertilizer Enhancer. Never stop pushing.
Welcome again to our final edition of Crop Life Retail Week for 2017.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I got a little under the weather right before Christmas, of course, and now I am sufficiently experimenting with pharmaceuticals to try and get myself through the day and, through this video. So I'm liable to say about anything at this point.
Sorry, this is different than any other week. How, I'm going to ask?
Oh, it's going to be interesting. We'll get through it, though. So
How about you? I heard you've been on the road.
I was on the road a little bit. I went I tried to do a day trip, but Delta decided it was going to be a day and a half. Delta's one.
They tend to do that in the holidays. Yeah.
So I went to see Crop Life America, and I talked to Jay Vroom, who's going to be retiring at the end of 2018. And I got a chance to do a video interview with him and talk about the past and a little bit about the future. We're going to save more of the future discussion for the end of the year because God knows we could have another merger and the future could change again. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this year. But had a really great discussion about some of the ways that we've some of the changes we've seen over the past. I mean, when I first came on board, the Food Quality Protection Act was a huge thing, and implementing that and kind of talking about all the past history and how we've gotten to this point. And there was really there was a spirit of cooperation between USDA and EPA that was really admirable back then. It led to both the industry and the environmentalists being not completely happy with what the outcome was. Both had to respect the process. Be great to see a lot more of that. In Washington D.C. Getting to like working together and agreeing on a process and moving forward, but. Yeah, that doesn't happen enough. Anyway, we'll see more from more of that. We'll have excerpts of the video from Jay and some of the information that he shared, kind of celebrating his career, which is really kind of traces the history of modern agriculture over the last 40 years when it comes to the crop protection side.
Nice.
So yeah, it was a good day. And I got to say hi to Darren Kopic. We talked about Ag Retailer Association business a little bit as well, and it was interesting and enjoyable. So it was a good day.
Well, we're glad you made it back. Speaking of end of the year stuff, I have one note to share with everyone regarding soybean exports for U.S. growers. Had another record this year. I'll have to read here, but according to government statistics, U.S. farmers shipped 2.6 billion bushels to international buyers last year, or this year, 2017. That was valued at $28 billion total, and it was a second year in a row that the exports exceeded 60% of U.S. soybean production. So, Paul, the appetite for U.S. soybeans around the globe apparently is not diminishing at all.
Awesome. Go soybeans.
Yes, and we'll be right back.
We want our farmers to be successful, and if they're spending money to put on phosphate in particular, we like to put a veil with it so that a lot more of that gets into the plant. We know that a majority of it gets tied up in the soil before a plant has a chance to work with it. So we like to put a veil to increase that availability to the crop.
Well, welcome back. Paul, as we're wrapping up 2017, I know we were going to give some thought to what we thought the biggest story was for the year just ending and speculate a little bit on what we might think will bear watching in 2018. For me, those two things kind of tie together. I know in 17, the mergers we saw in the crop protection folks obviously was the biggest story, seeing the Big Six, which was in place when I started back in the industry in 2000, go down to a Big Four. Was kind of interesting to watch, to see all those moves being made. And I know in 2018 it'll be interesting to see if we get any more little minor mergers, but I guess in my mind, we're down to a Big Four now. I'm not sure how much more consolidating we can be doing in crop protection. I think in my mind, the companies, if they're going to look for economies of scale and synergy, they're going to have to look to be maybe cutting back on their staffs. And I know we've heard that some of them, like Dow DuPont, with their Pioneer Group, have been laying off some employees in Iowa recently. So maybe we're going to see that become the new trend for 2018.
Yeah, it's and then it'll be interesting to see whether we have any movement on those post-patent focused companies,
right.
And whether we see companies taking the lead in being partners with retailers and how crop protection sold next year with,
Yeah.
with so much going on that front. And then of course, dicamba for me was a big story. It continues to be from a variety of different standpoints, not just whether or not it's working effectively, whether the damage is anybody's particular fault, or if it's the label or whatever. I mean, that all has to be hashed out. Can we get past this? Can we come to some clear decisions about how to move forward, so that we, the more we fight internally about this, the more we will tend to get a black eye. And if this isn't working again in 18, even our regulation, our group of folks that are in DC now who really don't want to add more regulations may be forced to take a look at this, and we certainly don't want to be in a position to have additional oversight on that chemistry, because we need these weed management solutions. We just got to work together to figure out how to make them work best.
Right, in 2018, obviously, I mean, we're, November 18th, I believe, is when the label is approved through use for dicamba. So, I mean, the clock's ticking. We're down about 10 months between now and D-Day for the label. So if we have another year in terms of problems like 2017 for dicamba, we may not continue to be able to use this chemistry as an industry. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it for the last edition of Crop Life Retail Week for 2017. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next year.
Thank you to this week's video sponsor, Avail Phosphorus Fertilizer Enhancer from Verdesian Life Sciences.